Hello everyone, Namaste. Thank you for joining today. I just wanted to quickly go over the format of today's session. It will start with Dr. Rajni ji uh, showing, pranayama, practical application of pranayama for the first 15 minutes. And then Dr. Bharathi will take over for Ayurveda, focusing on the food aspect of it for 15 minutes. And then there will be a QA session for the rest of the time. So just wanted to let you all know the questions that that need questions should be more on a general basis, not specific to someone's issue. I mean, if you have any specific questions, you can always email to Dr. Bharti. She will leave her email in the end, but she will not be answering any specific questions in this forum. So any general questions is welcome. Okay, thank you, thank you everyone. Rajni ji, you can take on.
Thank you, Lata. Namaste, everybody. Welcome. A request to everybody to turn off their audios and videos. Sit comfortably. Gently close your eyes. Relax your facial muscles with a gentle smile. Relax your body. Slow down your breath. Calm down your mind. Scan your body from toes to head. Gently bring your awareness to your breath. Inhale, exhale. Deep, slow, rhythmic breathing with awareness. Feel the cool air going in, warm air coming out. Gently bring your hands together in Namaskar Mudra. We will start with the prayer Om Sehna Bhavtu. If you know the mantra, you can say it. Otherwise, you can listen to the mantra, enjoy the chanting and the vibrations. Om Sehna Bhavtu Sahanam Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently release your hands. You can continue your eyes closed. We will do Kapalbhati. Inhale completely. Exhale 40 to 60 strokes per minute as per your physical limitations. A word of caution for those with hypertension, back pain, or recent abdominal surgeries to do it at a slow pace or just continue with normal breathing. Inhale. Observe the suspension of breath at the end. One more round of Kapalbhati. Inhale deeply. Exhale 40 to 60 strokes. Enjoy the Keval Kumbhaka at the end. Observe the changes. Observe the energization of your body, shattering of tamsa, and enjoy the changes. Bhasrika, active inhalation, active exhalation. Keeping your eyes closed enhances your practice and experiences. Minimal movements of the spine, people with hypertension, back pain. Observe your physical limitations. Make a bal mushti, small fist. Keep it next to your chest. Inhale up, exhale down. At your own pace, 10 rounds. Observe the suspension of breath. Second round. Inhale up and exhale down. Ten strokes. Relax. Adopt Chin Mudra. Let your hand rest comfortably. Observe the changes. 3 rounds of normal breathing. Nadi Shuddhi, alternate nostril breathing, or Anulom Vilom, whatever name you are familiar with. Adopt the Nasika Mudra, 2 fingers folded, other 2 straight. Gently close your right nostril. Inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left. That completes 1 round. Observe longer exhalation, shorter inhalation. You can practice inhale 6 count, hold 2 count, exhale 8 count. We will do 5 rounds at your own pace. Inhale deeply. Exhale and close your right nostril. Release your nostrils. Observe the changes. Brahmari chanting. Inhale and exhale with Makar chanting. 5 rounds. Touch your tongue to the palate. Someone's audio is on. Request to mute it, please. Touch your tongue to the palate. Close your lips gently. Inhale and exhale with Makar chanting. Feel the vibrations in your head area, the resonance, followed by the deep relaxation. Observe the changes. Inhale. Observe the silence. Gently open your eyes. I'll hand over the session to Dr. Bharathi ji. She will be taking over this session now and going over the benefits of the pranayama as well as other Ayurvedic related questions. Bharti ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rajni. That was a beautiful pranayama session.
Thank you, Bharti ji.
Thank you. So today will be, let me open my session. Lataji, I think I'll need access to share my screen.
You can share. There is a green button in the middle.
Yeah, but it says host disabled.
Gauravji or Rajni ji, you're the host.
So what do I do?
Okay, hold on. Can you make Bharti ji the host?
Okay, I think Gaurav ji has done that. He's the host now and Bharti ji is co-host.
Yes, now we're good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate again the opportunity to share Ayurvedic tips or information during this time. And again, I think from the last session that we had regarding how to enhance our immune system through Ayurveda, I had a few questions coming to my email, and we said, okay, and I think we also promised that we'll do a follow-up session for any Q&A, question and answer session. And also I think there were some requests on, we can go a little bit more detail on the food part of it, as well as the herbal recommendations. So that's what we'll probably do that today. And also we wanted to talk about, have this session on pranayama, because we did talk about part of the lifestyle as having a daily practice of pranayama to enhance the lung capacity, and some of the yoga postures that probably would help in helping with our respiratory system. So, and thanks again, Rajniji, for doing that session on the pranayama. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with the yogasanas that we had discussed. Not going into, again, the details which we already discussed last time. I'll just touch base on the therapies or the food part. Why are we talking a little bit more elaborately on the food is because in Ayurveda, that's where Ayurveda begins. It begins in your kitchen. It talks about how food can be medicine, right? So for that reason, whatever we are trying to do to stay healthy, it can start from the food we eat, how we assimilate it, and how the taste, different tastes in Ayurveda has significance on how we process certain foods in our body. And for that reason, we also talked about the gut health, the digestive system, the importance of maintaining a healthy digestive system to be able to also take care of our respiratory system, right? And we also talked about it a little bit briefly last time on how even the Western medicine has been recognizing the importance of having a balanced and a healthy microbiome or the digestive lining, so that and its importance on how we feel with the respiratory system. With asthma or any other chronic respiratory issues, we are seeing that it has been influenced by the gut, right? So, and I don't think, it's also easy, or it's also important to talk about how gut is our second brain. And there's so many levels of significance of having a good lining or the digestive system. It not only works on your respiratory system, your brain, the mind, as well as your immune system, right? So, and that's why we're going to talk a little bit more detail on the different tastes and the way we cook enough in the kitchen, and how we can stay healthy. In Ayurveda, we have 6 different tastes. We have sweet, sour. It's in Sanskrit, if we have to say, it's Madhura, Amla, Lavana, Katu, Tikta, Kashaya. So sweet, sour, salty, pungent, which is also a spicy food. It's bitter and astringent. So I got 6 different tastes, and each of those 6 tastes has its role on how we absorb and digest and how we can manage health, right? And as we discussed earlier about different body constitutions, so each body constitution, we say like, okay, I'm just going to go a little bit previous slide here. So we talked about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and we also learned about how the Kapha constitution have a little bit more challenges with the respiratory system. However, they also have a great immune system to fight it off. To fight off any infections or any other health challenges, right? So for Kapha constitution, we look at, okay, among all the 6 states, the best taste would be pungent, bitter, and astringent. which means spicy food, a little bit spicy. When we say spicy, it's not necessarily a jalapeno kind of spicy, but also the spices which has a little bit of the sharp taste in it, right? So we have spicy, we have astringent, which is a little bit drying, and also bitter. So these are the good tastes for kapha constitution. And for pitta constitution, the best taste would be sweet, bitter, and astringent. So these are the three main tastes that are good for pitta. So when we say sweet, not necessarily the desserts, not necessarily the the bakery items that we talk about. We're talking about anything which has sweet taste in it. It could be fruits, it could be natural sweetener, right? It could be even the rice. Rice in Ayurveda is also considered as madhura rasa, or sweet taste. So the carbohydrates are all belongs to the sweet taste category. So pitta is the best taste would be sweet, bitter, and astringent. And for vata, which they already have so much of dryness, so we need more moisture in them. And for them, the sweet, sour, and salty tastes are the best. So having known those different tastes and their significance on each body type, we're looking at infections, or looking at the virus situation. We're seeing inflammation and we're seeing mucus, both, which means it is both pitta and kapha challenges. Inflammation, which is more of the fire element, and that is a pitta. And then we are looking at the respiratory issues, which is a lot of mucus, and mucus is also more predominant in our lungs, and lungs is a seat of kapha, right? So that all makes sense with trying to avoid, for kapha, definitely to avoid excess of salty and sour and sweet taste. Now that comes to a little bit of a contradiction with pitta and kapha, because for pitta inflammation we need sweet taste. However, for the kapha we try to avoid too much sweet. So how do we balance it? So we want to make sure that whatever sweet we consume is not too heavy. For example, you can probably have some rice. You can add a little bit of spices that we cook in the kitchen, like it could be cumin seeds, it could be ginger, it could be black pepper. So the spiciness of the pungent of the spices will help to reduce the excess kapha in the sweet taste, in the carbohydrate, right? Makes sense? So we need to have a balance of the rasas, or the tastes that are good for pitta and kapha. Okay, so inflammation, and we also have to balance the respiratory system. So having said that, I'll go to the taste, and we talked about bitter taste. We also learned from last webinar that it's considered as one of the best tastes, which helps in inhibiting any viral or the bacterial activity in our body, which means the bitter taste would be kale, chard, dandelion, bitter melon, right? Even methi or the fenugreek, mustard seeds. So this all can be used, both pungent and the bitter spices. So we go, I'm just skipping a few slides which we already covered. I'm going straight to the food part here. Before we do that, the pranayama, we talked about the Surya Namaskar, and we're already familiar with that. Let me finish the food part and then we'll come back. So start your day with a glass of warm herbal tea with tulsi. So we talked about last time how we can enhance our immune system with herbs or spices that are actually helpful in enhancing the ojas or the immune system. And also the herbs and spices that helps in eliminating excess mucus and helps with the respiratory system. So we're looking at both prana, which is the respiratory system, and ojas, which is the immune system, helping balance both, right? So holy basil here is good for both. It is an immunomodulator, which means enhances the immune system, and its main action, or we call it as karma in Ayurveda, is also on respiratory system. So it helps in strengthening your respiratory system, at the same time enhancing your immune. So it's a great herb to have on regular basis. I'm sure we all have access to tulsi. If not fresh tulsi, you can also get the tulsi powder, or we can get tulsi tea bags, which is easily accessible. I mean, you can find it online. So you can get the tulsi, and then you can add, steep it in hot water or boiling water, maybe for 10-15 minutes. And if you have fresh tulsi, you can actually boil it, and you can make a big pot of tulsi, maybe like a handful of fresh tulsi leaves in 4 cups water. Everyone at home can actually have a glass of tulsi water in the morning, tulsi tea in the morning. And then you can, when you're ready to drink, you add a teaspoon of lemon juice to it. Lime or lemon juice is fine. And half teaspoon of grated fresh ginger. So you're adding the lemon juice and fresh grated ginger. You can actually, ginger, if it's cooked for too long in the water, it'll lead to a little bit too bitter in taste. So which is good actually, but if someone has aversion towards too bitter, so you can just add the fresh ginger tea, grated fresh ginger in hot water when you and steep it for 10-15 minutes, and turmeric. So here, lemon juice, as we all know, is loaded with vitamin C. It helps in maintaining the pH value, and that reduces inflammation, so that is great. And ginger in Ayurveda is considered one of the trikatus, or the best digestives. So as we learned earlier, it's important that we maintain a good, healthy lining in the gut. So for that reason, ginger is used, and it's a great prebiotic, which means, so there's two different things, right? We have probiotics and we have prebiotics. So probiotics helps in enhancing or, replacing any good bacteria. So we are actually introducing good bacteria into our gut. When you're taking prebiotic, it actually becomes like a fertilizer. It acts like a fertilizer. So you have already introduced good bacteria with probiotics, but it needs to sustain. It needs to thrive in your gut lining. If you have a chronic inflammation for, chronic means anything beyond 6 months, right? If you have a chronic inflammation in the gut, it could be some digestive challenges, irritable bowel syndrome or acidity, or I got so many diagnoses in Western medicine. So if you have any kind of challenges, and then that's leading to gut inflammatory lining, so then we need that then even though you're taking probiotic, you'll have to be on it for a long time, because there's not good environment for that bacteria to be sustained there. So we need a prebiotic, a fertilizer, and ginger, garlic, onion, these are all great prebiotics. Helps the good bacteria to thrive. And ginger is a great digestive as well. So we want ginger or garlic, you can use, but here in the tea, ginger is great. And turmeric. Turmeric is an anti-inflammatory as well as an antioxidant and antibiotic herb, and it helps in fighting off any viral loads. So this combination, if you can start your day, you can do it even later in the day, but if you start your day, then you're done with 1 cup of hot tulsi tea, and then even if there's no chances of forgetting later in the day. So good to do in the morning, and try to have some whole grains, which means which is not processed. Simply means which is not processed. So it can be quinoa or brown rice or amaranth. So many of those whole grains. I'm a bit skeptical using wheat a lot, because wheat has been shown that it does increase inflammation in our body. So I would say maybe if you can reduce wheat and have more of other whole grains, that will be wonderful. And avoid heavy, greasy, the same reason that we don't want the kapha to be too taxed, or your gut to be, your digestive system to be taxed with heavy, greasy meals and having to digest that. We want the food to be lighter and soupy and easy to digest, so that the focus will be on clearing the toxins and enhancing your immune system. That should be the focus, rather than having taxed with too much of digesting all these greasy foods. So when we have too much greasy foods, and again, you're taxing your Agni, which is your digestive enzymes. And then there'll be probably not completely digested food, and then we leads to something called as endotoxins, or in Ayurveda called ama, which means this ama or the endotoxins, if they are not on regular basis eliminated through the bowel movements, it moves through the circulation. It's nothing like we call it as Western medicine, where it's leaky gut syndrome, which means this endotoxins circulating through your system and blocking the channels and leading to other conditions or diseases. So, as I said, in this, especially during this time, try to have small or like, lunch is a main meal. We can have big meal, but lighter and easy to digest foods. Yeah. So consistent meal times with warm foods, as much as possible. Try to be consistent with your meals. I probably might have mentioned last time, looking at the digestive fire, we call it as Agni, enzymes as like a fire in the fireplace, right? You want to keep the fire healthy. We want the fire to be going and not too strong, otherwise it will burn out the house. You don't want it to be too small or low, otherwise with any little bit heavy food, it can kill the fire. So same thing in the digestive enzymes or the Agni in our gut. You want to keep that Agni as healthy and strong as possible, which means you need to provide the fuel on time. Light, warm fuel, right? So that's why the consistency of the meals is very important, and be able to digest it, right? So well-hydrated, warm fluids. So then we also learned that with this virus, it does thrive in cold temperatures. So we want to have warm fluids and herbal teas. In Ayurveda, we always have encouraged to have always warm tea, no matter it is summer or winter or fall. The warm teas always helps to maintain that Agni or your digestive enzymes in its best state. So herbal teas can be, as we said, it could be a tulsi, it could be peppermint tea, or if you want some chamomile tea to relax with all the stress and anxiety, yes, go in for chamomile tea towards the end of the day. Or peppermint tea during your lunch when you need a little bit more energy and aid in digesting your food. So you can also do the peppermint tea then. Light meals to encourage good digestion. We also talked about it earlier. So we talk about 12-hour fasting in Ayurveda, which means it's not necessarily like intermittent fasting, which is not for everyone. There is the concept of one size fits all with some of the the trendy diets, but in Ayurveda we look at every constitution and say like, okay, you have a Vata constitution whose digestion always varies, so you have to be a little bit consistent with meals. Pitta constitution, they can digest anything and everything, but they also need their fuel. They have fire elements, so they need the fuel to burn, otherwise they get inflammation. Kapha people probably can do a little bit longer fasting, right? Because they have so much heaviness and kapha and the water element in them, so they can sustain. Here we're talking about 12-hour fasting, which means you can probably do at 6 o'clock if you're having your dinner and not snacking or anything till next day 6 in the morning, which is not that hard, I believe, right? You can easily do that. You can sip on some teas or maybe like have a piece of fruit or something if you really need to eat later in the night or the evening. Otherwise, the 12-hour fasting is more of like if you're having a 7 o'clock dinner, we try not to do it later, but 6 or 7 o'clock, and then not having next meal until the morning breakfast. So that is easy to do. And the rasam we talked about last time, I know there were some few questions on that. It is a typical South Indian dish, which more like a soupy thing. The reason that I suggested that here is because of the spices that is used, which helps in managing the viral or treating the condition as well as the prevention. When I say treating, it's not necessarily when you're in a critical acute stage that we can treat with rasam, right? No, it means that you have a mild temperature or a little bit cough and congestion and sinus that's happening and mild cough, then you can start taking this tea, which is garlic cloves, cumin, black pepper, a little bit of, a small sized tomato. So you can actually crush the spices and boiled tomato and add to the same. I mean, there's a nice recipe that you can find, but you don't have to go all fancy about it. But just as long as you can boil tomatoes and smash it and add all the spices, which is already ground, and then add it to the same and boil it. You can always season with some curry leaves and turmeric and mustard seeds. So this is something that you can actually drink by itself, or you can have it with rice at least once or twice a day. So if you can have this almost every day, rasam, that is great. So there's no way that, I'm not saying there's no way, depending on the immune system of a person, it can vary, but a good way to support your immune as well as respiratory system. Some of the fruits and vegetables we talked about last time, and this is the same slide. So these are all more of an antioxidant and also helps in fighting the viruses. Citrus and berries we already know. These are some of the bitter vegetables here that I have talked about, and some pungent ones as well that have, that probably will help to reduce the kapha accumulation or the mucus accumulation, and also enhances the immune. So if you want to have some snacks instead of going in for anything greasy or fried snacks, you might as well do the nuts. The reason that we are trying to avoid dry nuts is because it causes more dryness in the body, which leads to more of dry cough and hard to digest with the dryness. So when you soak it, it's easy to digest as well. So some of the easy to digest snacks here. And spices, it can be, you can use the spices in your cooking or make it like a tea. I like oregano. If you find oil of oregano, that's a great one for the viral infections, and any bacterial too. And also have seen results with the fever, like mild fever. You can add a drop of oil of oregano. That is, you need to buy the quality of oil of oregano or the brand which is suitable to ingest, because you get two different ways. One that you can only use it externally, and the other one that you can ingest. So get the one that you can ingest, and that drop or two is very pungent and very sharp, penetrating. So you may want to just do one drop in a cup of in an empty cup, and then pour like 10 ounces or 2 cups of hot water. Mix it really well, and because if the oils, the particles of the oil on the top, the droplets of the oil on the top can actually irritate your lips when you drink it. So just make sure that you really mix it well, and then have it at room temperature or a little bit warm. The same thing with the thyme. You can, if you have thyme at home, you can make like a thyme tea, and then when you're ready to drink, you can add a little bit of honey to the thyme. That's a great cough syrup. It makes a very good cough syrup. Basil and thing, but we already learned is a holy basil or the tulsi. And peppermint, you can also use peppermint as an for infusion, like you can burn peppermint oil in the infusion and or put it in the infuser. That will also good to inhale if you're having a little bit of congestion. That helps. So other spices, you can all use this in your cooking or tea, as I said earlier. So we are familiar with that. The herbs we already talked about it last time. I'm just going to go over the tea that is recommended by Ayush, the Ministry of Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, and Siddha and Homeopathy, ministry. And this is a formulation that they have recommended. This is as of released, actually officially released on April 24th. So it calls for holy basil leaves, 4 parts of holy basil. This is a different parts for each of those ingredients, dalchini or the cinnamon bark. So these are all dry. So the holy basil here, they're talking about dry leaves, but if you do have fresh leaves, then instead of making a batch of this, you can just make it fresh every day. So cinnamon bark are 2 parts. You can actually ground them, fine powder, and then dry ginger powder here, and black pepper powder. Okay, so you can get 1 part of the black pepper and 2 parts of the ginger root powder, and cinnamon powder 2 parts, and 4 parts of the dry tulsi leaves. And this is I'll probably be able to share this as well. I don't know if the previous PDF that I sent out may not have this. I'll send that as well. So make the coarse powder, and then it consume like tea, or you can boil it and make it like a tea, or you can also steep it in hot water and drink it once or twice a day. You can always add lemon or raisins. Manuka is called Manuka raisins, very good for the immune system, enhances immune system. So you can have good jaggery or raisins or lemon juice in the tea while you're ready to drink. So this is what has been recommended by the Ayush, Ministry of Ayush. The other spices, let me look at the time. I think we are close to that. I'm sorry. Let me conclude this before we take the questions. So Trikatu, we already talked about, Chyawanprash, or also you can, if you don't have Chyawanprash, you can also get Amalaki Rasayana, Amla jam, and that can be taken 1 teaspoon once to twice a day. And Trikatu for the digestion, which is nothing but long pepper or pipli, and 1 part pipli, 1 part black pepper, and 1 part ginger, dry ginger. So dry ginger, black pepper, and long pepper. So this are all the 3, marich, shunti, and pipli, all in equal parts. You can make the powder and then have that half teaspoon after meals. If you're not, don't have access to Trikatu, you can always do the teas with ginger tea. That is great. Fresh ginger tea, you can have it. This is mainly to keep our good digestive system. So that's why the Trikatu. Sitopladi is mainly for cough and cold. Usually recommended in cough and cold. So you can take a half teaspoon of Sitopaladi or Talisadi churna, a half teaspoon 2 to 3 times a day. If you're having mild cough or congestion, it is good for even with dry or mucus, cough with mucus. 2 to 3 times a day in hot water, you can do that. Mahasudarshan Ganvati is usually recommended with when you have fever. This is a bitter herbs, combination of bitter herbs formula. So you can have it like a teaspoon of it twice a day after meals in hot water. If you do not have Sudarshana Vati, you can also use just plain guduchi or Amrita. Amrita powder or guduchi powder can also be used. That's also good for fever. Ashwagandha or Brahmi, both are adaptogens, which means it helps in reducing, maintaining your immune, as well as helps with anxiety that we are, going through this is not easy. And understand everyone have their own different emotions. So if you have a little bit feeling low on the emotions, it perks you up. If you're feeling too much anxiety, then it also helps you to calm down. So you can use that if you have tablets, 1 tablet twice a day you can do, or if you have powder, you can do a half teaspoon twice a day. You can take it with milk. If you're not allergy sensitive to milk, you can take milk, or you can do in hot water. And this is the Ayush recommendation, which you already talked about earlier. And turmeric milk, and here's this little bit, going back on the herbal tea, we do have black pepper and ginger that they had mentioned. So you can add that, or if you're a little bit sensitive on too much of spices, you can just do the one recommendation which we talked about earlier. Golden milk, which we are all very familiar, the turmeric powder in hot milk kind of helps in keeping our immune. Turmeric is a great antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and helps with the respiratory system. If you're again sensitive to milk, you can always do it just with hot water, but turmeric is a fat soluble. So you may want to add a little bit of coconut oil in it in the hot water, or any healthy oil in it, or ghee. That's just to just add a little bit of ghee in the hot water to drink, so you can absorb the turmeric better. Okay, so with that, and vitamins, as I said earlier, zinc is also recommended in Ayurveda for thousands of years. It's called Yashad, Jashad or Yashad, and that is 15 to 25 milligrams. It's more like a gatekeeper for our immune system, enhances, prevents any kind of infections passing into your system. So zinc is great to have. Vitamin C, you can, if you're doing lemon or oranges, you don't need to worry a lot. But if you're not having citrus, then you can take 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day. And vitamin D, because of a lack of exposure to sun, staying indoors, and it's also great for the immune. Vitamin D, so 2,000, at least 2,000 international units per day. So these are the vitamins that are recommended. So with that, I would conclude today's session, today's lecture on this, but I'm open to take any questions that you have regarding the, the slides we talked about. And as Lataji mentioned, I'd greatly appreciate if you have any personal questions, health-related questions. You can, contact me separately, because I don't want, it's more of privacy issues, and also I don't want the, just one question cannot, your one line question cannot, I won't be able to answer completely and won't be doing a fair job on that. So I would, I'll be happy to respond if you contact me privately. But any general questions, please let me know if you have any questions.
Dr. Bharathi, this is Geeta Ram here. I have a question for you.
Yes.
How do you use fresh turmeric?
Yes, that's a good question. Thank you for that. So fresh turmeric is a little bit pungent. It is heating and also it is sharp. So you can grate it, and always, I would say, use it in your cooking. Maybe you can saute fresh turmeric and use it. Otherwise, it's I have seen people having arthritis, or as much as we use turmeric as an anti-inflammatory, but also the same turmeric, when it's used in excess, can be harmful too, leading to bleeding. So I would always saute in ghee or in the spice, in any oil, and then use it.
Can you pickle it and eat it like a pickle, or?
You can pickle it as long as it's not all pungent ingredients in your pickle.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think there were some questions on the chat. So let me just check 1 second.
Okay, yeah.
We can go there. Saying, does haldi cause dryness?
So the, as I said, with dry ginger, it should be okay. But with the fresh ginger, sorry, not ginger, the haldi, with the fresh haldi, because of the excess heat, it can also be, excess heat can lead to excess dryness as well. So, and haldi, as I said earlier, it is best soluble in oil media, and if it's a fat soluble. So when you do use any oil media, then it will not be too much dry. It doesn't cause dryness with that.
What exactly is nightshade vegetable?
Yes, so nightshade vegetables are the tomatoes, eggplants, potatoes, anything with the Solanaceae family, with the seeds similar to what you see in the peppers, right? So those all come under the nightshade family, and then it does increase inflammation. Not only in Ayurveda we talk about it, but also in Western medicine, it's considered as one of the inflammatory group of vegetables that also not the best in people with chronic inflammation, including arthritis. So is it okay to have it now? I did talk about tomatoes using in rasam, but okay, as long as you don't have any inflammatory conditions, you can use it. But if you have any chronic inflammation, try to avoid it.
I was told that we shouldn't break basil leaves while putting it in hot water. Is that true?
Say that again, please.
I was told that we shouldn't break basil leaves while putting it in hot water.
I don't think so. You can, actually we make like a kalka or the paste of basil leaves, and we use it in making decoctions. And also we make the fresh juice with it. So I think it should be okay to boil.
Can we put honey in warm water?
Yeah, so that's a good question again. So you can put in warm water when you're ready to drink, but we don't want to boil it. We don't recommend boiling honey, but you can actually, when you're ready to drink, you can add honey. Lukewarm temperature should be fine.
So not hot water, just warm water.
Yeah, hot in the sense like not boiling water, but yeah, lukewarm to warm is fine.
How do we know our body type?
Yes, so there are few tools that we use to assess our body types. I think if you actually, there's a lot of online quizzes that you can do, but not the best way to check your body type. In Ayurveda, we do the pulse diagnosis, we do the tongue diagnosis to assess one's body type. But if you're just curious to know what your body type is, and just on a more surface level, you can always take online assessments, body type assessments. In general, I think, as I said last time too, and Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, they're only to just say like, okay, these are my body types, how am I going to eat my food and what to be avoided, right? But we all have combination of more than one. So sometimes when I have clients who just do that online assessment and then they say like, okay, I'm all Vata, what am I supposed to eat and not to eat? That will be a little bit confusing because we always have combination of more than one. And that is best to check the pulse assessment, and also sometimes a body frame. Sometimes, and then how we respond to the environmental stimuli, that also gives us an idea on body types. For example, a Kapha constitution, who has got earth and water element in them predominantly, they are easy to gain weight and hard to lose. Pitta constitution, I'm just giving this is not all the only way to assess. I'm just giving an idea so you can understand. Pitta are the ones who have got fire as a predominant element in their body, so they can digest, eat anything and digest well. The only challenges with them is inflammation, and acidity or burning in digestion, and mentally they're a little bit sensitive with emotions, right? They can just spark just like that with their anger, and at the same time they can also calm down fast. Vata type, or because their predominant element in them is air and space element, a lot of dryness. They have tendency to have more dry skin, dry hair, hard to put on weight, and even if they put on, that's easy to lose. They are very kind of a yo-yo body type, easy to gain and easy to lose. So they are the Vata. This is a small explanation, but as I said, the accurate way of checking the body type is when you do the pulse examination. That's the way.
What zinc is found in what foods?
Say that again. Zinc.
Zinc, yeah.
Oh, zinc. You can actually, a lot of nuts have zinc. You can have take zinc in that form as well. A lot of bitter vegetables also have zinc in them. So those are the two main ways that you can get the zinc.
Lime juice with hot water and honey, is that okay?
Lime juice with hot water. As I said earlier, then this kind of a repetition, that honey is okay to add in warm to hot water, but not boiling water, so you don't cook. And lime juice too, you can actually add it to the hot water, and that's why, and even the recipe calls for adding the lime juice later when you're ready to drink, not necessarily boiling with the tulsi.
Is tamarind okay with rasam? I mean, I think rasam is made with
that is the classical rasam recipe that we call for, but just because we have people from all over who are not very familiar with tamarind, so just why I said tomatoes are good, but it's okay to use tamarind, yes. If you do have a lot of inflammation, then I would avoid tamarind.
Why does temple food not use onions? Is something wrong with it?
Why does temple food not use onions? I think it's from the yogic perspective. I think Lataji can also respond that it is because of the tamasic guna in it, or the rajasic and tamasic. So we don't want anything that will stimulate you too much when you wanting to have more of sattvic. So I think temple foods are more of sattvic in nature. That's the reason we avoid onions and garlic.
Curious, when you cook turmeric in heat or fry it, when does it lose its inflammatory properties?
Anti-inflammatory or the inflammatory properties? It doesn't actually cause inflammation. As I said earlier, when anything taken in excess causes inflammation, right? Even water in excess is toxic. Ati amritam visham, we say. So I'm not saying that turmeric will cause inflammation. I'm just saying too much of turmeric, right? If you add, I have clients who just juice turmeric roots and in their smoothies every day and then drink, and that can lead to bleeding piles or hemorrhoids. But what I'm saying is it's easy to absorb in the fat media, and that's why you saute in the ghee. In heat or fried. So we don't want to, I don't think it loses, I didn't quite get that question for inflammation. How does it lose, when does it lose inflammatory properties?
So when does it become useless? I think what he's saying is when you fry it too much, at what point it doesn't
we don't want
be
to
effective anymore.
Spices. You don't want to fry too much, right? We always saute it gently and then add your vegetables. You don't want any spices for that matter.
Not burn it. Yeah. How much? I think he meant to say haldi. I'm not sure. Is too much. How much haldi you take per day? Haldi. How much haldi?
Yeah, that's again a good question. And I think here in this in US we talk about if a spoon is good and a tablespoon is even better, right? That's not the case with all the spices. So a teaspoon, maybe even 2 teaspoons for the day is good as long as you're using it with some fat media. That's fine. I wouldn't suggest taking the turmeric extracts. We have people who take the capsules, turmeric capsules, and those are extracts, not just the powder. It's an extract which is more like a curcumin extract. So I don't recommend anything beyond 500 milligrams per day. But the powder wise, if you're using in cooking, 2 teaspoons can be easily taken.
Can we eat fresh organic salad during evening?
I mean, that sounds tempting, right? Fresh and organic, both are great. But as I said earlier, we need to have food that is easily digestible. And don't forget that salads, plant fibers, even hard to digest. And especially with summer, it's more tempting to have salads. But I would suggest, like, even if you want to have salads, have it at lunch, preferably, and maybe add some digestives in it. Say, example, you want to just add some grated ginger in your salad. Or if you can throw in some stir-fried or sauteed vegetables in your salad, so you can just warming up the salad and not necessarily really cold. Or you can just leave the salad out on the counter before you eat instead of having cold from the refrigerator, right? Straight from the refrigerator. Yeah, definitely not great in the evening because we know that at lunchtime is your fire element is strong in your body. Your digestive enzymes are great in action. So have if you want to have anything that is hard to digest, have it at lunch.
Yeah, just a couple more. Is triphala good to have daily?
Triphala is good to have daily. This is kind of a tricky question, again, based on the body constitution. Someone who's got too much of dryness in their body and chronic constipation, I wouldn't recommend triphala on regular basis because it can be drying to your colon. I would suggest maybe add ghee to it. If you need the help of triphala to relieve your bowels, maybe have it with some ghee or maybe some licorice. We don't recommend plain triphala for a long period.
What is the best diet to take in the evening before 6 p.m.?
Best diet. Well, the same principles on with the diet, anything light and warm and soupy. which means you can have some dal, chawal, or the rice and lentils is fine as long as it's not too heavy dal. And some vegetables are nice, but we need definitely have some carbohydrates in the evening, just because it is helps in calming, and then it helps in enhancing a little bit kapha, not with a kapha with the mucus, but helps you to be more, feel more grounded. So nothing heavy at night. If you're familiar, if you're familiar with khichdi and having khichdi, that's a good one to have at night too. It has got all the nutrients in khichdi, so you can have that as well. But nothing too heavy, nothing too fried or greasy.
Any herbal medicine to stop snoring?
Okay, so this is again, we need to see why the snoring is happening, right? It's again, I would say
that's why that is another question. Why does one snore?
Yeah. Yeah, so the snoring is for various reasons. I know someone who has got inflammation in your in the throat, or there's with the weight, with someone who has gained weight, they can also have it. And there's sinus congestion, so many reasons that can have from anything above the clavicle as well that can make a person snore. I would there's nasya. We do nasya. I mean, I'm just giving a generalized question. This is a more specific question. I probably can answer that question if you contact me personally. But nasya is a good one. Gargle, anything to enhance the strength of your throat muscles would be great. Mostly, sometimes we have people who have laxed throat muscles, and that can also lead to snoring. So if you want to just do some neck exercises to front, like, the bandhas, some of the yoga asanas to help to enhance the neck muscles, and gargling or swishing, that will help to strengthen again. And nasya, or the nasal drops, can also help in reducing any inflammation that's causing the snoring.
Can kids have ashwagandha?
Yeah, kids can have, depending on how old the kids are. Anything probably 2 years to 3 years and old can do ashwagandha, but again, in a very small dose, like a quarter teaspoon of it. But I would suggest, like, we have to look at other conditions. If they don't have any other challenges, yes, they can do it.
Is it okay to add a little haldi powder in warm water every day?
Yeah, so for a pitta person, maybe a bit challenge, and that's why the recipe that we gave kind of helps to balance, just not plain turmeric every day, right? And that's why I said add a little bit of oil, like ghee, because ghee will reduce excess heat in the turmeric, so that can be consumed at that time. Yeah.
What happens when a person who is having headache? What helps a person who is having headache, cold, and body ache?
I think it's a more very vague question for me. So what helps a person who is having headache? From
an Ayurveda perspective, I think I was asking.
Oh, okay. So as I said earlier, any kind of congestion, for if it is if the headache and the body aches are more related to there's so many causative factors for that, making sure that it has nothing to do with the viral issues, because that is one of the main symptoms that we're looking at. I would say, like, we can probably do some of the digestive teas, because body ache, heaviness, if you're saying body ache is more related to the heaviness, sluggishness, and congestion, head cold or head congestion, then using the digestives we talked about, it could be fresh ginger, or it could be the cumin coriander fennel tea. Make a combination of cumin seeds, coriander seeds, and fennel seeds in equal proportion, and steep it for 10-15 minutes, add some fresh ginger to it. And that can be had it, and that will help to digest any kind of toxins that are circulating and causing any congestion. But if it's related to just primarily with a head cold, head congestion, or mucus, sinus related, then you can also take some steam. You can use some eucalyptus oil and take the local steam. If it is related to a headache caused because of the toxin load, then we recommend some detox, some panchakarma for that.
And if they want to know more about Panchakarma, they can reach out to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Any natural help for sinus?
Natural help for sinus. As I said, Nasya. Nasya is one of the recommendations in Ayurveda. We talk about using some herbal nasal drops, and that helps in reducing the excess dryness or inflammation and leading to which actually is one of the causes for the sinus condition. Sinus condition is either because of the deviated septum, or it could be because of excess dryness and inflammation. So when you do the Nasya on regular basis, also from a yogic perspective, the Neti part, right? Doing the regular Neti kind of helps to flush the drain the excess mucus, and then followed by nose drops. If you're not familiar with Nasya or nose drops, you can just use warm sesame oil, and make sure, again, as I said last time, make sure that your pinky finger doesn't have any long nails, or trim your nails, and then apply in the nostrils, and just warm sesame oil, right? And then just gently massage your nostrils. That will also help with the sinus congestion. As I mentioned earlier, we need to also strengthen the immune system for the sinus if you're having a chronic sinus issues or head cold. So you can use Chyawanprash on a regular basis to enhance the immune system. Probably if you're having allergy-related sinus, then you have to enhance the immune system. For that, amlaki, or if you just have amla powder or churna, right, take it more regular basis, a half teaspoon 2 to 3 times a day. Or you can use Sitopaladi or Thalisadi, as I mentioned earlier, to help to reduce excess accumulation of mucus.
Is there any treatment for H. pylori other than antibiotics?
Yes, we have definitely a good protocol in Ayurveda to help with H. pylori. As I said earlier, the gut, maintaining the gut microbiome, the microbiome is very important through the spices that we use in our cooking, as well as we have herbs that helps in maintaining the pH level in the gut. Yes. There's actually a protocol, and we need to again find out what's the cause for your. Remember, like last time I mentioned, it's not just patching the wound or the cuts, right? It's also band-aiding. We need to see why you are the host, and we need to see what are the factors that is contributing for you to become the host for all these imbalances. So in general, even we use aloe vera, distilled aloe vera, to help to maintain that pH value in your gut. You can take like a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of almost like an ounce of distilled aloe vera on a regular basis to help your gut microbiome. If there's a lot of inflammation related to it, then you can also use marshmallow root. So there are different herbs that we can use, but it's not that everybody can use the same approach, right? We have to assess the constitution, look at why there is so much of imbalances, and then appropriate it. Maybe it could be something that in your diet that could be causing all this imbalances. So we need to address the diet as well. I'm sorry, I'm not able to answer your specific questions because it's got so many factors to look into. But in general, these are the herbs that you can use. Like fresh ginger is always the best one. And as I said earlier, the cumin, coriander, and fennel. These are the 3 spices that you can use on a regular basis to just maintain the healthy gut lining.
Okay, I think the last one, any suggestion for acidity?
Yeah, that's the same. I think this will be the same question. As I said, you can use marshmallow root if it is related to a lot of inflammation or chronic acidity. You can use the CCF is my best bet. Cumin, coriander, fennel tea, equal proportion. Steep it for 15 minutes and have it around meals. Add a little bit of marshmallow if you're having inflammation, or aloe vera or marshmallow in it. Ayurvedically, we can also use a little bit of licorice, which also causes a mucilaginous layer if it is inflammation and causing a little bit of ulcerative gastritis. We have herbal formulations that we can probably recommend. It could be Suktin is one of the herbs, but again, I wouldn't want to suggest just blindly without knowing more detail about why you're having acidity, if it's caused because of medications or if it's caused of too much of heat in the body or just diet related. So I would suggest try the spices in your cooking and avoid any kind of sharp, pungent food, and try to be consistent with your meals. And if it is stress related, yes, you need to work on pranayama. You need to have good sleep sleeping habits, and see what's the cause for it, right? If you're having too much of acidity, and watch your diet, what's triggering it. You need to also find out the triggering factors.
Hello, this is Sabita. I have a question, Bharti ji.
Yes.
I thank you for answering my questions via email. You had answered it. Anyway, the question I have for you is, all over India, I mean, this is unrelated to the viral situation. All over India, betel leaves and calcium, that is tuna, is eaten. There's a reason for it, right? Because of calcium. Is it one of the better ways of consuming calcium?
It's not only for the calcium purpose, but also as a digestive. We use the betel leaves and nuts, and mainly as a digestive. And calcium too.
Because I heard it was the calcium that was suggested. That is why for the women it was considered important for them to eat it. So,
one of the ingredients being the calcium, yes, it's used, but the benefits, like, you have one herb or one ingredient and it can be used for multiple reasons, but it is not the primary reason. The primary reason that we use those betel leaves, if you think about it, it's taken after meals to mainly help with digestion.
Okay.
Yes, you can also,
thank you.
The calcium is also used, and the calcium in it also helps in increasing the calcium level in the body. But I wouldn't use it by itself. Like, you mean you're planning to have that in the betel leaves, or is it just by the calcium?
In the betel leaves, yeah. I have been using it actually for the last 6-7 months, because I don't take any supplements, calcium supplements as such. And it's not like I have a huge diet with a lot of calcium in it. So ever since I started using it, I found a lot of benefits. So I was just curious whether it does help at all.
Yes, it is definitely. I mean, it's a good source. It's a more bioavailable compared to any.
Exactly. Yeah.
Compared to any supplements that we get on the store, definitely bioavailable, which means your body absorbs. But don't rely just on that.
No. One of the things. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I think there's one last one. Chewing ajwain helps with digestion. Somebody's asking.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, that is also one of the spices. You can do the ajwain. We also see the fennel seeds that we usually get right after food. That is also a good one to take for digestion. But again, if it's a bit too heating, then just make it add it in the tea, in hot water, and drink it.
Okay, I think somebody was asking, how do they contact you via email or phone? I think you had said email, right? Maybe you just type up your email there.
Yeah, and it's okay. I think the last time when I had done the email, there were too many lengthy questions, and I had to contact them. So I think I can share both. You can, but best is if you can text me, then because I do see the clients online now, so I might not be able to respond immediately. So if you can text me or WhatsApp me, that'll be better. This is my. Oh, sorry, I think it went to Aarti privately. Let me do it here again. So Bharathi@ayurnectar.com, that's my email. And my number would be 562-228-3939. Yes, thank you, Gauruji.
I think that's all the questions were. There was one question on fasting. Somebody had asked, I do 14-hour fasting. Is it good? Okay.
As I said earlier, like, it's not for everyone. Fasting or any diet, you have to be careful on not to push yourself. Listen to your body. I would suggest, listen to your body. That's the best way to go about. Sometimes I have clients with a pitta predominant body type who got strong metabolism. For them, you need the fuel more frequently. You cannot do like a 14-hour or the intermittent fasting, because that can increase more acid or inflammation in the body, or irritation in the gut lining, right? So for them, I would suggest listen to your body. If maybe like 12-hour fasting, which is easy to do, rather than the whole 14 or 16 hours fasting. For a kapha constitution, that is easy because their digestive system is not too strong, like they don't burn fast, so they can easily sustain for a long time without eating.
I think there's one question on the chat. It's a long question. You want to take a quick look at it, and then we can conclude.
I think from the Bala Iyer, thank you, Bharathi. My understanding is that everyone should make a visit to an Ayurveda practitioner to find out their own body type and then follow the food and other routines that is appropriated for their body type. Is this the best way if one is following Ayurveda rather than assuming their own body type by correlating info written in books and blogs, etc.? Yes, so that's the best way, not just to know your body type to eat your food, but also to prevent any forthcoming conditions, right? The one that you're more prone to. At least if you have an idea of, if not everyone have access to a practitioner or not able to consult a practitioner, at least an idea, I gave you an idea on how each body type are with their body constitutions. And when you're assessing your body type, just look at what you were like growing up. Not necessarily what you're having now, how you look now, or what challenges you have now, or it could be any of your digestive systems. If you're going to think about yourself growing up in as in high school or like in the college, look at those characteristics and then assess your body type rather than seeing now, because now could be whatever we are feeling now or having or looking now could be an imbalance, or it could be something that we adapted ourselves into, right? So it may not give you the exact body type assessment. So it's best, the best way is to get an assessment done. Otherwise, even if you want to do it online, just answer those questions based on what, how you were or how you, the challenges you had growing up. Okay, I think.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you again for this opportunity. I really appreciate giving me this opportunity to share. And I think this is the best time to just adopt anything that's the ancient system of medicine, which has been for so many years that we had being adopted. And sometimes we had just left it behind, but it actually makes a lot of sense to incorporate that in our everyday life to stay not only physical health, but also emotional and mental health more needed now. Again, thank you to HCI for organizing all these events. And
Thank you.
Thank you, Bharti ji.
Thank you. It was a great help. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharti ji. Just
Thank you.
at the end,
Thank you.
Thank you.
wrote one last question: is buttermilk okay in the night time?
So buttermilk, any dairy is not best to do in the night. If you want to have buttermilk, just add some, like, how you make chas, like maybe some cumin or a little bit of pinch of black pepper to it, so you're able to digest it and not to have cold.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And how about A2 milk? Is A2 milk good to have?
Yes, A2 milk is fine compared to the processed milk. A2 is fine, and if you want to go a bit further, then you can do the raw milk, how we boil the milk and have it instead of having the processed milk. That's even better. But you dilute it, boil and dilute it.
All right, thank you.
Bharti ji, put your phone number one more time.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Bharti ji, for everything.
No problem. Thank you very much. I think it's going to. Okay. Thank you. Namaste. Good night. And stay well, everyone. Stay safe and well.